Good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is clear. Let me know in the chat box. Okay. So we will start our session today. Let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible. Okay. Okay, so today we will move to the new concept called arrays. Okay, we will learn arrays. So the concept is arrays. Okay. So why we need arrays? Okay, so if you take variables, okay, if we take variables, let me declare a variable. Okay, how many values I can store in this variable? How many values I can store? Only one, right? That too, this data type specified. So whatever the data type I have declared, based on that I can initialize only one value to this variable, right? So each and every variable can store only one value. What I want to do if I want to store multiple values? Okay, that is where the concept called arrays comes. Okay, so why we need arrays? We need arrays in order to store multiple values. Okay, so why we go for arrays? So in order to store multiple values we go for arrays. Okay, and how the elements inside array will be stored? The elements will be stored in continuous memory location. Okay, so in continuous memory location. Okay, so basically the array looks like this. So let me draw the diagram. So think this is an array. Okay, so in array the elements will be stored like this. So in memory bytes. Okay, okay, this is how basically one array looks like this. Okay, so it will store the data in continuous memory location. Okay, so this box, okay, so we are having multiple boxes in this array, so each and every box will identify a memory location. Okay, so every element, whatever the element we are storing inside the array, it will store in continuous memory location. Okay, so if I store numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, so leave it. So like this, each and every number will be stored in continuous memory location. So whatever the elements we try to store inside array, those elements will be stored in continuous memory location. Okay, so and one more thing is, the array can store only homogeneous data. Okay, so what array stores? Array stores only homogeneous data. Okay, what is this homogeneous data? Homogeneous data is nothing but it will store only same type of values. Okay, so homogeneous is nothing but same type of values. Okay, so it will store only same type of data. Either it may store only integers, or it may store only characters, or it may store only strings. Like this, it is data type specified. It will try to store only one type of data. Okay, so it may store integers or characters or strings or booleans, either whatever the data type it may be, but the array will store only that type of values. Okay, so array stores only homogeneous data. It is not able to store heterogeneous data. Okay, and coming to the other point, so it is of index based. Okay, it is of index based. It will store the elements in the form of index based. Okay, so this is an array, right? So in array, the index starts from 0. Okay, the index starts from 0. Okay, so let me write the index values for this array. So this is an array, right? So index starts from 0. So this is index 0, and this is index 1, this is index 2, and this is index 3, this is index 4. Like this, it try to store the elements in the form of index based. Okay, so it try to store in the form of index based, and the index starts from 0. Okay, so and how we can access the elements of the array? So we can access only with the help of index only. Okay, so everything inside array is done with the help of index. Okay, so either if we want to initialize values to the array, we need to go with the index. If we want to access the elements inside the array, in the which are present in the array, that is also done through the index. Okay, so accessing and initializing, both are done both are done with the help of index, with the help of index. Okay, and coming to the next, it is a linear data structure. We call array as linear data structure. Linear data structure, as it is storing same type of data, we call it as linear data structure. Okay, and coming to the next point, array is mutable in nature. Okay, array is mutable in nature. What is this mutable? Mutable is nothing but manipulate. Okay, we can manipulate the data, or we can say we can change or modify the data. Okay, so modifications can be done. Okay, if we can do modifications or changes to the data which is present inside the array, then we call that as a mutable in nature. Okay, that is the reason we call it as mutable in nature, because we can change the data, we can modify the data. Okay, and coming to the next, what is the disadvantage of main arrays? So it is of fixed size. Okay, and the array is of fixed size, we cannot resize. Okay, so fixed size. Okay, we cannot resize it. We cannot resize it. Okay, so if we give 5 as a input, okay, for the array, So it will create only an array which is sufficient to store 5 elements. Okay, so we cannot resize. If we want to store 6 elements, we cannot do that. If we want to do that, we need to create one more array. So the array cannot be resized. It is fixed in size. Okay, this is the most disadvantage in the array. And coming to the one more disadvantage, it stores only homogeneous data. Okay, these two are the most disadvantages of arrays. Okay, I hope it is clear what is an array, why we go for array, right? So let me know in the chat box. Is it clear? Okay, so now I will show some methods to create an array. Okay, so we can create an array in Java in two methods. Okay, two methods. Method 1. Okay, method 1 is array initializer. Array initializer. Okay, coming to the method 2. By using new operator or new keyword, anything is fine. New operator. Okay, so these are all two ways. Okay, we can create the array in Java. Okay, these are two methods which with the help of these methods we can create array in Java. First we will see array initializer. Okay, so what is array initializer, how we can do, we will see. Array initializer. Okay, so what is this, why the name array initializer is? Okay, coming to the syntax, how to create an array using array initializer. Okay, so here we will be writing array type, array type. Okay, and this brackets, okay, this square brackets represents an array. Okay, and here we will give array name, and in the flower braces we try to give values. So like this we can provide so many values. Once values are initialized, we try to close our flower braces. Okay, so this is the syntax of array initializer, how to create an array using array initializer. Why the name array initializer? If you observe here, I am directly initializing values to the array, right? I am directly initializing. So that is the reason the this syntax is called as array initializer. Okay, so as I am directly initializing values, the name is array initializer. This is one of the way to create an array in Java. Okay, and as I said, this square brackets represents array. Okay, this square brackets can be anywhere. Let me show some more syntaxes also. So, like array, array type, okay, and the square brackets I am giving here now. Okay, this is also correct. Okay, like this also we can initialize value 1, value 2, value 3, and like this we can give so many, and we try to close our flower braces. So the square brackets can be here or it can be here also. Okay, and there is one more syntax also. Okay, let me show, like array type. Okay, so here we give square brackets, and after that array name. Okay, later we try to initialize the values. Okay, this syntax is also fine. Okay, anyone will work. So there will be no errors. The three syntaxes will work to create an array. Okay, so this is how we can create an array using array initializer. Okay, so let's see with an example. So let me create array. So int, I'm giving array as a array name, and I'm initializing some values. Okay, so this is the array, and if you observe, I'm not getting any error. Okay, and let me use one more syntax too, like int. I'm changing the name. Okay, I'm giving square brackets here now, is equals to. Okay, if you observe, I'm not getting any error. And let me try with one more syntax too, like int array 3 is equals to. Okay, so if you observe, I'm not getting any error for any syntax. So I can use 3 syntaxes to create an array. Okay, this is the way of creating an array using array initializer. Okay, so coming to the syntax, there is something called as array type. What is this array type? Array type represents any type of data. Okay, any means we can have here primitive data types, or we can have non-primitive data types also. Okay, so any data type is fine. Okay, array type is nothing but data type. Either it may be primitive data type we can use, or we may use non-primitive data type also. Okay, coming to the array name, any name, whatever the name, it is like a identifier. Okay, here we need to give identifier name, and here we will be initializing the values. Okay, so if you observe, I have used one primitive data type here like int. Okay, so if you observe, I'm storing only int type of values. What happens if I store string? Okay, even though I am declaring it as int, what happens if I store string? Let me see. So let me try to store string. Like if you observe, I'm getting some error, right? If you observe, I'm getting some error. So that is why the array is homogeneous. Okay, so that is the reason the array is homogeneous. Okay, so it cannot store the date, whatever the data type, it cannot store. Okay, only whatever the data type we have declared, based on that only it will store those values. Okay, so based on our data type or array type, we need to specify the values. Okay, so that is the reason array is homogeneous data. If you observe, if I mouse over here, type mismatch cannot convert from string to int. So this is the error. Okay, it is not able to convert from string to integer. Okay, so if I store here integer type of data, then it will store. There will be no error. Okay, this is the reason we call it as homogeneous. I hope it is clear. Okay, so here we may, if we give string as a array type, so I need to store only string type of data. If you observe, I'm getting error because these are integer values. Okay, so if I give here char, I need to store only char type of data. Okay, and if you give boolean, so you need to store only boolean type of data. Okay, this is how the array works. Okay, so coming to the next method 2, which is by using new operator. Okay, so how we can create? So let's go with syntax. So here also the same array type. Okay, and array name, array name is equals to, here by using new keyword we try to create an object of array type. Okay, so whatever the array type we give, array type, and inside the square brackets here we try to define size. Okay, this is the syntax of creating an array using new operator. Okay, so this is the new operator here. Okay, so here we will be giving the size. If I give size like 5, it will internally create an array of size 5. Okay, if I give size as 10, internally it will create an array of size 10. Okay, that is how it works. Okay, and in the same thing, the square brackets can be anywhere like this. So it can be here, or it can be here, or it can be here. Okay, either one is fine. Okay, so this is how the syntax looks like. Okay, so let me create an array with the help of new operator. So let me delete this and let me give int. Okay, so new int. Okay, here I need to specify the size. If I am not specifying size, if you observe, I am getting some error. So if I mouse over, variable must provide either dimension expressions or any array initializer. Okay, I should provide size here. So let me give 5 as size. If you observe, there is no error now. Okay, I need to specify the size. It is mandatory while creating an array using new operator. Okay, so this is how internally what it will do. It will create an array of size 5. If I give here some 6, it will create an array of size 6. Okay, and one more thing what we want to know here is, so let me show. So think that I have created an array. So let me copy this first. Okay, think that I have created an array of size 6. So internally how it will create? It will create like this. Okay, so it will be having 6 boxes, 6 memory locations. Okay, and if you observe, what is the data type I have given here? Integer, right? So it won't create an empty array. So whenever I try to create an array with the new operator, okay, so according to the size, it will create an array. It is fine, but it won't create an empty array. Okay, so it will be storing some default values inside this array. Okay, based on the data type, okay, whatever the array type we have given, based on that array type, it will store some default values. Okay, if you observe here, what is my array type? It is an integer, right? For int, the default value is 0. Okay, so it will store default values. Okay, so inside this array, in each and every memory location, or we can say in each and every index, it will store the default values. Okay, it won't create an array with which is empty. It won't create an empty array. It will create an array based on our size and with the default values. Okay, so let me have 0. Okay, like this internally it will create. Okay, based on our size, it will create an array, and based on our array type, it will store all the default values. Okay, this is how it will create internally. Okay, what if my data type is short? what default value it will store? It will store 0 only. Okay, so for short byte long int, for these data types it will store some default value like 0. Okay, coming to the float, double. Okay, if my data type or array type is float or double, then it will store some default value like 0, 0.0. Okay, so if I have boolean, if my date array type is boolean, then it will store false by default. Okay, so if the data type is char, okay, it will store some unknown space. Okay, there is no default value for char. Okay, so it will store some unknown space, we can say unknown space. Okay, so these are all the default values which it will store. Okay, so let me show with the example. So I have created integer type of data, integer type of array here, right? So let me print that array. So don't worry about these arrays, whatever syntax I'm writing, don't worry about this. Just by using this, I'm just trying to print my array. Okay, so if you observe here, I'm getting my array. What is the value it's told by default? 0. Because my integer type, my data type, or I can say my array type is integer. So that is the reason it is storing that default value as 0. So let me give let me give double. Okay, so if you observe, it stored 0, 0.0. Okay, so for double, the default value is 0, 0.0. So whenever we try to create an array with new operator, so it won't create an array emptily. Okay, it won't create empty array. So it will store default values in it. Okay, that is the thing we need to understand. So for string, so I didn't say the default value for string, right? So let me give string. Sorry, let me give string. Okay, so let's see what is the default value for string. So if you observe, it's stored null. Okay, so the string in Java is not a primitive data type. So we discussed this while we are talking about primitive data types. And I said the string is non-primitive data type here. Okay, it is an object. It is an object in Java. So if we create, if the array type is non-primitive data type, okay, then by default value for all the non-primitive data types is null. Okay, so if my array type is non-primitive data type like string, okay, non-primitive data type, then by the default value for non-primitive data type is null. Okay, it will store null by defaultly. So that is what here happening. So it is storing as string is non-primitive data type, it is storing null as default value. Okay, so this is what. So and coming to this syntax, whatever I have used to print an array, so there is one class in which is predefined class in Java. So that class is arrays. Okay, it is present in java.util package. Okay, there is one predefined class in Java with the name arrays class. Okay, with the name arrays. So with the, there are so many methods present inside this arrays class. Okay, so let me let me show those. So if I just press dart, if you see here, binary search, okay, all these are different methods which are present inside the arrays class. If we want to use, we can use. Okay, so to print, to check whether it is equal, okay, there are so many methods. Okay, these are all methods which are present in arrays class. So if we want to use, we can use this predefined methods. Okay, so with the help of toString method which is present inside array, so with the help of that I just printed my array. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now let me go with some basic programs. So let me create an array first. So think that I have created an array. Okay, so with size some 5. Okay, and how to initialize? So we know if we print this array, okay, and first let me know. Um, so what will be the output for this if I try to print this array? Can anyone know what will be the output? What will be the output? Whether it will print array or any other values, what it will print? No, no. Okay, let me show. Okay, so if you observe, it is printing some data here. Okay, so this is nothing but address. Okay, this is address. Okay, so this is a reference variable here. Okay, this is act as a reference variable. So the reference variables will store address, right? So it is trying to print the address here. Okay, this is a reference variable. What reference variables will store? What reference variables will store? They will store address. So here it is like a object creation. Okay, that object address is stored inside this reference variable. If whenever I try to print the array, so it will print the address. Okay, I hope it is clear. So for now, just know this. About this, we will talk later. Okay, in depth we will talk while we go for object creation. Okay, so for now, just know it will print the address. Okay, now till now we know that it will store default values, right? So but I don't want to have default values. I want to initialize new values to my array. So how we can do? So as we discussed before, the accessing and initializing both is done with the help of index. Okay, so if the integer size is 5, then how many indexes we may have? So think that this is an array. So this is the 0th index, 1 index, 2 index, 3 index, 4 index. If you observe, there are 5 elements here, right? 5 elements, but the index starts from 0, right? So up to 4th index, I need elements. Okay, it will store the elements up to 4th index. How to initialize then? How to initialize the values to the array? With the help of this index. So if I want to store any value inside the 0th index, what I will do? Just I will take this reference variable, okay, square brackets, and inside this square brackets I will represent the index number. So I want to store my value in second index. Okay, in second index. So what I will do? I will give index number as 2. Okay, and I will initialize some value like 20. Okay, so let me print this. arrays dot toString. Okay, so let me print this. So if you observe my second index, okay, my second index, by defaultly it will be storing 0, but I have initialized value here. So that is the reason the default value is replaced with my initialized value. With my initialized value. Okay, so if I want to store in 0th index some value, so I will initialize. Okay, let me give some time. So like this I can initialize for each and every index. Okay, so 1. Okay, so let me print array now. So this is how. Okay, so based upon my initialization, the default values of the array or the default values which are present inside the array will be replaced with my initialized values. Okay, so with the help of index numbers, I can initialize the values. Okay, so how we can access this? Okay, I am storing values. I am initializing the values. So those values are storing inside the array. How to access this? With the help of index only. If I want to get second index value. How I can write? So simply array, again variable name. Okay, so let me have println statement. Okay, variable name and index value. I want to access second index value. So if I write this statement, so it will print me second index value. If you observe, I am getting my second index value. Okay, if I want my first index value, I will just change the index 30. Okay, this is how we can access the values in array with the help of index. Okay, and we can use for loop also to traverse through the array. Okay, so this is my array, right? So if I want all the values, I can't give so many println statements like this, right? So I am having 5 elements, so that I can have 5, I can write 5 println statements. What if I am having 1,000 elements inside the array? I cannot write 1,000 println statements, right? Instead of that, we can use for loop, right? So we know how to use for loop, right? So let me print this array with for loop. So for, and what is the value I need to initialize here? I need to start from the 0th index. So I am giving 0 here. And where I need to end? I need to end at the last index. I know the size of my array, right? I know the size of an array is 5, means it is storing 5 elements, but the index starts at, what is the last index if the size is 5? 4, right? Size minus 1. Okay, so less than or is equals to, or we can give simply less than size. Okay, or less than or is equals to size minus 1, which is 4. This is also fine, or this is also fine. Okay, so the index, the last index will be always size minus 1. Okay, and later I will be incrementing my variable. And what I need to do? I need to print the array elements. So for that, I will be using array variable, and inside the brackets I will be mentioning my variable I. Okay, so we know that I will I will traverse through all the, means from 0 to 5, less than 5. So all these elements, or we can say all these values will be initialized to I variable only, right? So if I try to print that I variable with array name, then it will give us the values which are present inside the array. Okay, so let me print. Let me run this program. So if you observe, I am getting all my 5 elements which are present inside the array. Okay, this is how we can traverse through for loop in array. Okay, so this is the best way to traverse through for loop. I hope it is clear. Let me know in the chat box. Quickly, let me know in the chat box whether it is clear. Okay, so now let me initialize other indexes also. And the initialization also I can do with the help of for loop also. Okay, so that is also possible. Okay, I have initialized array here and I'm trying to print the array. So, but if you observe what I'm doing, I'm printing my array here in forward direction, right? In forward direction. Let me remove this println and let me keep only print. So, let me give some space to. So, these are my array elements, right? So, those are printing in forward direction. Means starting from 0th index to ending at 4th index. This is forward direction. Can't I print my array in reverse direction? Can't I print? We can, right? We know how to use for loop. So then we can print. So what I will do? I will just start with last index. What is the last index? 4, right? And where I need to end? I need to end at 0th index. So I greater than or is equals to 0. Okay, and here I need to decrement the value. Okay, now it will print the array elements in reverse order. Okay, so if you observe, I got my array elements in reverse order, right? So this is how. And one more thing. So there is one method here, that is not a method. I can say it as a variable. Okay, so that variable is used to find the length of the array. Okay, think that someone has created an array, okay, and you don't know the size of the array. So if you want to find that size, okay, you can use that variable. So let me show that variable. That variable is length. Okay, so here it is a variable, it is not a method, it is a variable. Okay, so if I use with the reference variable or array reference variable, and if I use this variable, okay, if I try to print this, I will get the length of my array. Okay, let me give this in println statement and let me print the length of this array. Okay, so I have given this syntax inside my println statement. Now it need to print the length of the array. So what is the length of the array, or what is the size of the array? 5, right? It need to print 5. Okay, so if you observe, I am getting 5 as a output. Okay, so this is the variable, okay, which is used to print the length of the array. Okay, I hope it is clear. So this is the variable which we use with reference variable. Okay, so if whenever we try to print that, we will get the size or length of the array. Okay, so now it is fine. Now we will write a program so to display only the even index elements of an array. Okay, so I am having elements, 5 elements in my array, but the thing is I want to display only even index elements. Can I do this? Yes, we know how to use for loop, right? So we can play with for loop. So how to get only even index of elements? So we will traverse through for loop. We know we will initialize a variable with starting index which is 0. So int I is equals to 0 and I less than. Okay, now I am using length variable here to get the length dot array dot length. Okay, and I plus plus. Okay, I am traversing through array. So here we know that each and every time in each and every iteration of for loop, one value will be stored inside this I, which is index. Here what is the thing I need to display? I need to display even index elements. Means I need to check while iterations are going on in for loop, I need to check whether that particular index is even or odd, right? If it is an even index, then I need to print the element. Okay, so for that what we will do? We will just simply write the if condition. If, okay, so where the index are storing, where the index are storing in I variable, right? I will check whether I, okay, modulus 2, if I do modulus operation with 2, if the remainder is 0, then it is a even number, or I can say even index, right? So if it is a even index, what I need to do? I need to print the element. I need to print the element. Okay, so this is the simple program so to print the even index of an array. Okay, so let me run this. If you observe, I am getting only 3 elements. Okay, so 0th index, it is a odd. 1, it is also odd. 2, it is even, right? So, and 4, it is even, and 0 is also even. Because 0 modulus 2, means 0 divided by anything is equals to 0. Okay, so that is the reason 0 is also even index. So it is printing 10, 20, 50. Okay, 10, 20, 50. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, so we try to solve some more problems like finding maximum element and minimum element. Okay, so the next problem is I need to get maximum element in the array. Maximum element in the array. So how can I get the maximum element in the array? Okay, so what is the maximum element in these values? 50, right? I need to get answer as 50. So how to solve that problem? First, let me take a variable and let me initialize that variable with array of 0 index. Array of 0th index. Okay, so what is the value which is stored in array of 0? What is the value? 10, right? So this max variable, now it will store 10 inside this max variable. So 10 is stored inside this max variable. So I have initialized my max variable with array of 0, which is the starting element of the array. Okay, so what is the element which is present at index 0? 10. Okay, that value will be stored inside this max variable. Now, how to find the max element in the array? By using for loop, I will traverse through the for loop and I will check with this max element. So as initially it is initialized with starting index which is 0. Okay, so I will check with each and every other indexes. Okay, and I will get at last my max element. Okay, let me do. So we will traverse through for loop. So from where we will start? We will start at from index 0. Okay, or we can start from 1 also, because we have stored index 0 value in max, right? So we can start from 0 or either 1. Anything is fine. So I am starting my index value from 0 only, and I less than array dot length. Okay, I plus plus. Oh, after traversing, okay, what I need to check? I need to check whether the elements which are present in this particular indexes in each and every iteration are greater than this max or not. Okay, so what I need to check? If, okay, so array of I, we know array will store all the index values. If that particular, in that particular iteration, if that particular index value in the array is greater than max, okay, if it is greater than the value which is present inside the max variable, then what I will do means I will reinitialize the max variable. Okay, now I will store array of I inside it. Okay, I will store array of I inside it. So if that particular index value is greater than the max value, then I will reinitialize that max variable. Now this index value will be stored inside this max variable. Okay, so if not, if it is not greater than, then simply I will just go to other iteration. Okay, so at last I will get my max. Okay, so let me print max variable. Now it need to store 50. So let me run this program. If you observe, I got my output as 50. Okay, which is the highest element in the array. Okay, so let me have some other values like 5, 55, 6, 77, 8. Okay, so now in these values, what is the highest element? What is the greatest among these elements? What is the maximum number? 77, right? I need to get 77. See, I'm getting 77. Okay, so this is how it works. So how it will execute? So let me explain. So first I will be initialized with 0, right? So first I will be initialized with 0. So later it will check. So first max will be stored, right? Array of 0. So what is the array of 0 here? 55. So it will store 55 here. Okay. Later I will be initialized with 0. And this condition will be true because 0 less than 5, right? And it will come to this condition now. It will check whether array of 0, which I value is 0, right? So whether array of 0 is greater than the max. What is the array of 0 here? 55. What is the max value here? 55. Whether 50 greater than 50? No, the condition is false. Then it will go to other iteration. So now the I value will become 1. Okay, so it will check the condition again. It will become true. Now it will go to here. Okay, so what it will do here? It will check this condition. So array of I, now I value is 1. Okay, array of 1 is greater than the max. What is the array of 1? It is 6. Okay, whether 6 greater than 55? Whether 6 greater than 55? No, the condition is false, right? So it won't enter into the if block. So it will directly go for other iteration. Now the incremented value is 2. Now the I will store 2. Later it will check again the condition. Okay, so after checking the condition, again it will go here. Now the I value is 2. It will check whether array of 2 is greater than max. What is the array 2 here? 5. Okay, whether 5 is greater than 55? No, right? So again the condition will become false. Now again it will go to other iteration, which is now the I will be incremented to 3. Okay, again it will come here. It will check the condition. The condition will be true. Again it will go to this condition. Now the I value is 3, right? Array of 3 is greater than max. What is the array of 3? Which is 77. Okay, is 77 greater than 55? Yes, the condition will become true here. Okay, it will enter to the if block. Okay, now the max will be initialized to 77. Okay, now the max will be initialized to 77. Okay, now after completing this, it will again go for other iteration, which the iteration will become now 4. Okay, it will check here whether 4 less than 5. Yes, the condition will become true. Here it will again check whether array of 4 is greater than 77. What is the array of 4? 8. Whether 8 is greater than 77? No. Then it will go to other iteration. Now the value will become 5. So this condition will be failed. Whether 5 is less than 5? No, the condition will become false. So it will exit the for loop. This is how the execution flow will happen. So I hope it is clear. Okay. So in the same way, we can find the minimum element also. Okay. So the only thing what we need to change is this condition. Okay, the only thing which we need to change is this condition. So instead of greater than, just keep less than. Okay, so instead of that, others are same. Okay, everything was same. We need to just change this condition. Okay, so let me give instead of max min. Okay, so here also I want to print min. Okay, so everything was same, only we will change the condition. Okay, we will start at starting, we will initialize this min variable with array of 0 element. Okay, and later we will traverse and we will check whether those elements which are present in particular index is less than minimum or not. If those are less than minimum, we will try to initialize the minimum variable. Okay, so let me save this and let me run. So if you observe, what is the minimum element present here? 5. I need to get 5 as output. So let's see. If you observe, I am getting 5 as output. Okay. And some may have doubt like whether it will work for minimum, means negative elements also. Right? So let me give some negative elements here. Let me have some negative elements. Okay, like -2, -1, -8, -5, -6. Okay, now I need to get minimum element among these negative elements. So let's see. So yes, I got -8. Okay, so this is the minimum element. So I got -8. Okay, so it works fine for negative elements also. Okay, I hope it is clear. Let me know whether it is clear. Let me know quickly in the chat box.